Guys, thank you for clicking on this video. We're going to talk about guilt and more specifically, why we resist guilt. And I found this to be a core, the reason I'm talking about guilt is because it seems to be a core emotional pattern belief system in those of us with OCD because of these following reasons. And it's been true for my life. I don't know how you were, but for me, man, I got the message early on that I was a bad kid. I was wrong. I'm bad. I gotta ask for forgiveness. And so I basically developed this pattern of oversharing, over confessing, over apologizing about everything. And it got more as I got older and developed more self-awareness and more, my brain developed. And I think that was part of why you see OCD and anxiety tip off for a lot of people. OCD in like that 20s, early 20s kind of period. But I'm telling you, don't stop feeling the emotions of guilt. Stop resisting the emotions of guilt. Guilt is not a bad thing. This is one thing I had to realize, because when you grow up with these, you have experiences that you feel guilt, shame, whatnot, you create these beliefs around it. And there's beliefs that you're not safe. I'm not safe if I feel guilty. And these beliefs that I have to tell somebody about what I did. I have to pray to God or confess it or do something in my mind, mentally, ritualistic, whatever, to offset it, okay? That comes from a belief that you are wrong, you are bad, blah, 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 okay? It's made up. It's made up. And part of this thing going forward for you is, if you have OCD intrusive thoughts, is looking at your belief system saying, do I really want to hold on to these rules about right and wrong that I've formed out of this belief that I'm wrong? Maybe you believe you're sinful, or you're just wrong, bad, whatever. You can live a very healthy life based on values you have about how you want to engage the world, and how you want to treat people, how you want to treat yourself, most importantly. But basically, this whole system creates this habitual nature in us to resist guilt. And that is a primary means of repressing emotions. I talk a lot about how emotions are meant to come up and be experienced. Think about like farting. You ever farted in public on accident? And somebody heard you. Your face kind of feels flushed. You feel embarrassed. That's shame, okay? It happens just like that. Just like that. Harmless kind of thing, Most people are probably going to experience that experience. You don't have to, it's just going to come up. You're going to feel it. It takes a really strong opposing force to keep emotions like that down, okay? Well, we developed those opposing forces, and that resistance is fear. And fear is such a strong emotion. It's literally what has helped us survive, evolve, adapt as humans, because it helps us survive. But survival doesn't always help you live a happy, meaningful, quality life. And a lot of times fear has a maladaptive or unhealthy response. And that's what happens here, is that we basically learn that we become afraid of emotions like guilt, or emotions like shame or anger or sadness. And it becomes automatic, and so we're just blocking it, and it stays repressed. And these emotions build up, and all this energy spills into our subconscious, or into our conscious mind, into all these crazy thoughts or fears, anxieties, well, however you want to look at it. Or it's just bubbling underneath the surface, and our ego, conscious mind, is trying to understand it all, and so it's having all these crazy thoughts. Whatever it is, that's what's going on. And yeah, break up with the resistance. Break up by noticing that, the judgmental thoughts. Notice the game. When you start noticing the game that your mind's playing on you, that it doesn't like to feel guilty, you can mess with it a little bit and that's a technique for later on when you really get a hold of this. You can like purposely do things to make to bring on guilt, just to kind of like fuck with your brain a little bit, and it's gonna piss and moan and like judge you and just try to make you do all the things that you grew up doing your whole life. But it starts with awareness, starts with noticing these thoughts, noticing this feeling, this resistance in you. Yes, you have to notice the guilt. Usually that'll be there right away. But notice the resistance and then learn to be with it. Learn to not do your compulsion. Learn not to check with whoever or to feel better about yourself by doing whatever it is. And just learn what your mind's telling you. Listen to it. And as you do this, you're going to develop a new relationship with guilt. You can relearn the ability to apologize, to admit fault. And this is something that in the past for me, it always came from, it still sneaks up on me. Like this is something I am still on my way out of, still relearning. But you do apologize and you admit fault, which is a nice kind of practical thing to do in kind of social skills, right? Like, man, a lot of times you don't really need to apologize at all. But sometimes it's nice to do it because we have to, we're working with people and their emotional experience. And so that's something you figure out. But it comes from a place of caring for the person, right? Caring for the person, or just your relationship with them. And it's not coming from a place of, I'm bad, I'm wrong, I'm guilty, okay? It's a whole different energy shift, and it feels totally different. So break up with your resistance, learn to feel guilt, let this emotion come up, take off the top of that, the ceiling that's holding that down, and relearn how to experience, how to engage with guilt, with shame, with these emotions. Hope you liked the video. Please subscribe. Please like it. Join my online OCD Hero group with the link in the description to hear more of this kind of stuff and do it with a community of people. Thanks.